Okay. And then you have in your essay here, what you said, how earning 3 times more starts with a 30-second phone call. So I think that ties into what you're talking about here, right? So
Yeah, it's comparative.
yeah. What do you mean? What did you do? What are you talking about here?
Yeah, so this would be, take us fast forward a little bit to last year. And last year we're sending out 250 aspirin letters, and we're bringing in leads. Some of the leads are good leads, but we're getting too many leads that are just aren't qualified, and they're just not fitting what we're looking for, and they don't have money to pay us. And it was actually the third time that I went to Rapid that this clicked in my head. So this is another just plug that, like, I can't absorb everything once. I doubt anybody else can absorb everything once. Like, we've got to just be constantly learning, constantly growing and improving. But that third time I went through, it just became clear that, well, I'm marketing to companies that can't afford me. Why am I marketing to companies that can't afford me? I need to clean my list better. And so we tried all sorts of things to clean our list. Looking them up on Google and LinkedIn and Facebook and their websites, and put together all these perfect profiles and thought, let's do this. We found out we still have bad information. And so we said, wouldn't it be nice if we could go to our clients or these prospects and just call them, and they would just give us that information? It almost started off just like a joke. And then we thought, well, why don't we try this? And so we put together a quick phone call. And in that phone call, we call them and say, hey, we have a package we want to send you, has some cybersecurity information in there. I just want to make sure we send this to the right person. Is this the address? Yes. Is this the right contact? Nope. Send it to this guy. Okay, perfect. Thanks. How many computers do you have? Great. And does that person have an email address? Yes. Now we've got their email address, the place to send it, the person to contact, and we know that they're going to be a good fit for us. And when we started marketing to those, now all of a sudden we're not getting those as many unqualified leads, and we're getting bigger customers because we're marketing to the right people and the right customers.
All right. So what I think you said, what was it before you did the marketing? Like before you did this, it was like $1,000 a month, and then it was what was the difference again?
Yeah, so we were bringing in, I just pulled up the number. So we were bringing in $1,312 of monthly recurring revenue on average each month prior to doing this change. After we did this change, we were bringing in $4,952 of monthly recurring revenue each and every single month, doing the same exact amount of work.
Okay. Just targeting different, smarter.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Inviting different people to the party, and the party got better. Look at that.
Yeah. You can't complain about who you invite to the party. So
Right. Okay, so there's a question here, might play into this. Peter Jacobson saying your published metrics show $7,500 per month in marketing labor in 2002 and 1,700 or 17,000, sorry, in this year with 6 marketing people. Can you explain the staffing plan? How do you pay? So, because I think what'll go into this is so kind of think of it this way as you answer this. When you started, like, did you have a marketing person? Who did you hire? Where are you? Kind of give us the lay of the land of what your sales and marketing team looks like. Right.
Yeah. So when we started, I'll take you back to that because I know there's probably a lot of people that are at that point. When we started, we didn't have any marketing people. We didn't have money for any marketing people. So you're looking at them. I was the marketing people. My wife helped me. I would go to work because I was still the technician at this point, as well as trying to run the company. So I'd go to work. I'd work all day. Would come home, take care of the kids, put the kids to bed, and then would stay up for hours until 2, 3 in the morning, and would work on marketing, creating the documents, customizing the things, getting things ready to go out, stuffing the envelopes, and then during the day, would make those phone calls to follow up with those customers.
You were making the calls?
It was either me or my wife, Rachel, to start with, yes.
Okay.
And then as we started bringing some customers, we said, let's get some help for this because this is working. And so once you see something working, then you can start to scale that and say, well, instead of sending out 25 a week, let's send out 50 a week. Well, to send out 50 a week, you need a bigger list and you need more resources and more things, and then you scale that up to 100 and then 150 and 250, and now we're going to 500.
Mhm.
So you continue to scale that. So a big thing I think with that labor was when we started, we had no help. As we grew, we got more and more help. And the labor costs now, some of those are so high because we're taking that list from 3,000 to 6,500 so that we can send consistently 500 out every single week. And then once a quarter, we'll resend to those individuals. And so there is some extra labor in there right now just because we have some extra list cleaners that we're not always going to need. And so there's some things there as we're scaling up that change it a little bit.
So they're not all full-time employees, right?
All of them but one is.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you have 5 full-time, 1 part-time. And what are the 5 roles that you have? Like, what are the roles that you
Yeah.
have?
Yeah, great question. So list cleaning has been a big one. So we had 3 list cleaners that will go through and do those phone calls for us so that we can scale up to that 6,500 contacts in our farm list as fast as possible so we can get things moving. 1 SDR, we'll have that. We're dropping off one of those list cleaners now and moving that to an SDR. So we'll have 2 SDRs and 2 list cleaners. Then I have kind of an admin floater person who helps me with getting all of the things printed, making sure we've got everything ordered. Because to send out 500 a week, that's a lot of just kind of behind the scenes, making sure we've got the products and they're put together. And then I've got somebody that just helps. All she does is just help stuff them and drops them off at the post office, and then grabs new ones for the next week and takes them home, stuffs them, and then drops them off at the post office the next week.
Okay. So now two list cleaners who happen to be also making calls, but they're not setting appointments. They're just purely following your list cleaning process. Like, they're not trying to get to the decision maker, book an appointment.
Correct.
They're just purely verifying information, right?
Correct. Yes.
Okay. And then 2 SDRs who are actually trying to book the appointment. You've got your marketing admin. Who else? Because that's 5.
Yep. And then I've got the lady that's the part-time lady who helps stuff the envelopes. And
I'm sorry. I missed that. Okay.
You're good.
Okay. Perfect. All right. So very good. So you've got that. And that's where all that labor, where those costs are going. Okay.
Yep. And what we've found as we've done this is however many campaigns we send out where we do those 3 follow-up phone calls. So if we send out 100, for example, we know that's going to be roughly 200 calls that person's going to make, because they're going to make 100 for the call 1. Call 2 is going to be a little bit less, might be 70, and then call 3 might be 50 or 40 calls or whatever, 30 calls. But it just averages out to be just about double, give or take a couple every time we do this. So if we send out 500, we know that's going to be 1,000 phone calls we have to make that week, which is too many for one person. But one SDR appointment setter, if that's all they do, can do 250 letters, which is 500 phone calls a week, and that fills their day.
Okay, cool. All right. So I'm going to kind of try and summarize some of these questions that are coming in, because we are talking about list cleaning and prospecting, right? And I know you're doing more than that. You're doing newsletters and you're doing postcards and more mail and all those things, right? So, but let me also ask, because there's 2 people, one's an anonymous person, so I don't know who that is. Very hurtful. And they're saying they seem to get people that are annoyed that we're following up by the second call. Is there something we should do differently, or expect a certain percentage of people to be annoyed? So we're going to answer that live. And then it kind of goes in with the same, another William is asking about how do you address the prospects saying that we're fine, no problem. So, I mean, like, what percentage, like if you call 100, like, do you know how many you're going to get a hold of and how many you're going to be are going to book an appointment?
So that's something we've just barely started tracking better is the exact number of, because we want to track it throughout that process. And we'll kind of talk about this when we get to some number stuff. Okay. But if you can track it and break that process down, then you can find where your problem is and you can try to make it better. So the industry average is if you send out 100 or make 100 phone calls, you should talk to 18 decision makers. Of those 18 decision makers, 10% of those 18 should book an appointment. So if you're not getting that 18%, then you need to work on how do I get past the gatekeeper? How can I get to that decision maker better? And if you are getting that 18% or better, then great. Then you can focus on, well, how do I get more appointments off those decision makers? And so
Yeah.
I think there's you have to watch that and track that, or otherwise you don't know.
Mhm.
But as far as to answer the question of people getting annoyed, yeah, some people get annoyed. Some people say, take us off your list. That's fine. Those are probably the customers we don't want to work with anyways. And so we're fine with that. And there's enough low-hanging fruit that we don't need to worry about those guys. Go after the low-hanging fruit. Even at 6,500 contacts and sending out 500 a week, we still consider that the low-hanging fruit. We still have a
Yeah.
whole bunch more that we could clean that just wouldn't verify information, stuff that might still be good clients, but we couldn't verify the information. So we're not wasting time on those. We're going after that low-hanging fruit, and always just looking for that low-hanging fruit.